Tropical cyclones are a formation of low pressure storm weather that produce strong winds and heavy rain that cause great damage. They form when water temperatures are quite warm and rapid cooling occurs as the storm travels up, releasing the heat of condensation and ultimately powering the storm. Low latitude and low level westerly winds form favourable conditions for the formation of tropical cyclones. The cyclone is formed when winds that are travelling from the opposite directions meet. These winds are heated by warm oceans which evaporate into the air. The heated air travels upwards and cools rapidly, which forms large clouds and areas of low pressure. When all these low pressure areas collect together, they develop into a cyclone. Although cyclones are quite large, they have a clear, calm patch at the centre called the eye. This lasts for about an hour and the fierce winds and torrential rains return after that. On the 25th of December, Cyclone Tracy caused catastrophic damage to the city of Darwin in the Northern Territory. Cyclone Tracy killed 71 people, 49 of those were on land and 22 of those were out at sea at the time of their demise. The damage was great. More than 70% of Darwin's buildings, including 80% of houses, were destroyed. Tracy left more than 41,000 out of 47,000 inhabitants of the city homeless. Wind speeds of up to 217 km an hour wrap sheets of debris around trees that are still there today. All public services were rendered useless. Darwin was now having to rebuild and is now thriving as Australia's most important gateway to Asia. A tropical cyclone forms using clouds and masses of water which has to enter the atmosphere before it is released onto the ground. The rain may bring up harmful chemicals and toxins which may harm the atmosphere or cause the rain to become slightly acidic. The winds may also pick up small pieces of debris which could then fly into the atmosphere and be transported elsewhere. It would affect the biosphere because a cyclone would destroy flora and fauna. It would also cause floods that would cause erosion and in some cases landslides that would contribute to erosion caused by rain. As a result of the cyclone killing the flora, once the dead plants dry, it makes it sufficient fuel to spark bushfires that would further contribute to the destruction of the biosphere. A cyclone would impact the economy because firstly businesses would be ruined and sources of income would be temporarily unavailable. Tourism would be lost for the first few years after the cyclone because people would believe that it is not safe for them to visit. The country may suffer because if the affected area was a major business centre, then some of the country's revenue would be lost and tourism would also come into play here as well because the funds from that would drop dramatically. The cyclone would impact the social side of things through deaths and injuries causing pain and grievance. People may also come together and work as a community to rebuild or help affected areas, which is a positive. People would begin to leave the affected area, believing that there is nothing left for them to go back to. Fights and disturbances within community groups may also break out due to pressure and anxiety following a cyclone. The individual has a responsibility to themselves to make sure that they are safe and that they have somewhere to stay while the cyclone is passing through and in the aftermath. It is also their responsibility to help the community recover and rebuild following a disaster. The community has a responsibility to make sure that everyone is safe and accounted for during and after a cyclone. It is also the responsibility of providing for the displaced and homeless while they get back on their feet and find the funds to contribute to the rebuilding of an affected area. The government is responsible for providing the funds needed to rebuild and aid those who have been displaced. They should provide such things as food, water, and medical aid if needed, to make sure that the rebuilding is done quickly and well so that affected areas can be back in business and supporting the community. The Northern Territory Police were the first people to officially respond to Cyclone Tracy. Their efforts were the deciding actions in matters of life and death. The police are supported by the government, which supplied money and supplies to help in their efforts to relieve the pressure on communities and save lives of some people. The police also aided in the rebuilding of the community as they are part of the community outside their job. They also helped find medical aid for the injured, and morgues were set up at police stations.